I am so happy. Tari Zarka, owner of Aspiring Artists of the Earth, is here today with me, and we have been wanting to do this for a while.
It has been a few months. I delayed you. Thank you for your patience.
Oh, I'm totally so excited that you're doing this. And after talking with you, I think we need a series.
I'm excited for that. I'm looking forward to parsing out all that I presented to you. And
yeah, I am really excited. Well, I'll tell you, we go back, and I've always watched the beauty of your creations, the beauty of your art, the beauty of your jewelry, the beauty of what you put out there. And I have marveled truly at how that combines with your entrepreneurial aspects of your brain. Like, you're so business minded, and I think that's unusual.
it is unusual. I find it unusual in my own head at sometimes. I have battles with myself pretty much on a daily basis with making decisions based on a creative avenue versus lucrativity's sake and keeping it at the core mission level. It's an interesting balance.
So you talked about the core mission. What started it all? Can I ask how it all began?
I have created since I was a kid. I've always made things and been creative, and I grew up in the family business where we made hosiery since the 1960s. My family was, we were into production, so I grew up in a place where we were ingenuitive. We made our own tools, and machine parts were not being made anymore. They would make their own tools, and I just saw there was never an end. There was always just work ethic and go-get-itness, and to pivot when women stopped wearing pantyhose, they pivoted towards compression socks and dance wear, and to just stay with it. So I took that with me in every job I had. I just tended to find a way to excel, I guess you would say. I would go there with a goal and to make it happen. So let's get back on track here. I'm a little nervous.
Well, no, you know what I was thinking when you were saying, so no, that makes perfect sense because you're coming from that entrepreneurial background. You had that, I mean, you're born into it. And then did the glass start first, or did the...
So yeah, the art got me. I knew I wanted to do more than hosiery, but I was like, art or graphic designs? I knew it was really hard to make money off fine art. I knew the almost impossibility of it, and knew that, all right, so if I'm going to I went to Bucks County Community College because I really didn't know what I wanted to do, and I wanted to just take some classes and explore without creating a huge financial burden. So I explored. I spent a couple years with a fine arts major, then flipped it to graphic design major, then I ended up with an associate's degree in fine arts at Bucks.
Okay.
Found glass at Bucks in the furnace working department. I fell in love with glass there in the large scale glass, and I lost my, because it was just a whole new creative realm, and that's where I fell in love with glass. I mean, it was maybe 1999 about 1999 or so that I fell in love with glass at Bucks, and so that wasn't yet part of my business. I wasn't doing my business at all yet, but I realized, okay, well, I want to get into graphic design to follow the arts, but glass never left me. Like, I was just always captivated by it, and it wasn't actually until after I started AOD in 2004. I was out there with my artwork, my paintings, my drawings, and other copperwork and metalwork that I was doing, artwork from other artists that I was carrying, and I was at Bryce's Farmers Market.
Oh, okay. Is that how you started then?
I actually met one of my friends that were friends to this day, but he was bringing artwork from Salem County Community College artists, and there was these little tiny glass pendants, and I was like, how the heck did you do that in a furnace? And they were like, excuse me, furnace, that's torch work. So torch work glass had been exposed to me there, and I never looked back. I started helping them move their work. We started working together. I literally learned how to build a glass studio from hanging out in other people's studios. And, okay, you need to get T-grade lines, and this is how you set a studio up. And I did a pencil sketch, and I came home, and like my dad and my uncle helped me build a studio.
Oh, my. So the graphic design, did you ever go
Jumped around a lot here, sorry.
No, that's perfect. That's how life is. So the graphic design, did you go into graphic design?
Yes. So I decided I'm a work experience type of person. So I was at school and I decided I wanted to get a job in graphic design. So I put a few applications out, and the second application I put out was at a sign shop in Willow Grove. They hired me, and within 3 months they decided, hey, you want to run the place? And I was like, sure, I'll manage it. They sent me to management training, and then I was running the place.
Oh, interesting.
And so that's where I was like, everywhere I went, let me do it really well. I always was, wanted to work really hard, and
yeah, that drive went with you wherever you went.
yeah, I can't turn it off.
Yeah. So what do you think it is about glass? Like, is it that What is it about glass that
I don't know what
gets you?
first captivated me to it, other than it was just so different than anything I'd ever worked with. And you can't do anything else when manipulating glass. It's hot, it's in the flame, it's molten only for a few moments.
Oh my gosh.
You
that's
have
so
to work
interesting.
with it and what it's doing. It's not like a painting you put down and come back to it. It's not something you can just put down and come back to. You have to finish it, get it into its annealing phase, otherwise it'll crack and this and that. So it's just this, like, I have a very ADD brain to some extent. I have a hard time focusing, and it's something where, like, you have to be one with that job. And there's something to that. That's that avenue
Wow.
of intrigue. And then you get to people's appreciation of glass. And I don't care who you are and what background you have. You can see glass art and be like, "Ooh, that's beautiful," and it can reach people with no language barriers, no barriers at all. It can reach everybody, and I
That's
love
so interesting.
its ability to connect people. And that's what has really been something where I want to build off that
Well,
power
there's-
of glass.
Yes, and there's two things that you're making me think. Number one, I think there's some sort of metaphor in there about that you have to finish it. You don't sit there and edit and edit
Yeah,
and
you
edit.
can't overthink
have
it.
To, yeah, yeah.
Well, you
and-
literally have to flow with it.
yeah, and then the other thing that I really am intrigued by, because I talk to a lot of artists nowadays, and I'm always interested, would you be an artist if there was no commerce attached to it, and why do we create? And what I really love is you've taken this art form and you're in Whole Foods. Like, it's accessible. I can walk into Whole Foods and I can take a piece of this art home with me, and then I can wear it. What does that mean to you? Like,
An absolute blessing. I mean, they found me at Rice's Market. Let's bring up Rice's Market again. And that, I mean, just to be able to reach people through such a broad base is just phenomenal. And to use that as a way to connect and to help inspire people has been amazing. Should I tell the story about how I got
Yes.
in there? I was at Rice's Market. This is about your
so
2000
Rice's Market, explain that.
Yeah, so it's our local farmers flea market. It's a place where if you're, you can get a table for $20 to $30 back in the day. I'm not sure what it is today. So you go there and show your stuff. You might have artwork. You might have knockoff bags from a vendor. I mean,
Right.
you could have anything if you were there.
Right.
It was that kind of place, right? So in the beginning, it was a wonderful place to show the artwork. We were like the only ones doing the thing. I had my artwork, and then once I joined forces with the glass artists that I was working with, we were there with a lot of beautiful handmade American glass for a few years, about a year and a half, doing really well.
That's cool.
Also with the music festivals and going around to shows, and I started doing some of the arts festivals because after a year or so of doing that at Rice's Market, the import market caught up with what was selling well, and so within a year or so we had the glass factories in Thailand knocking
Wow.
off the work and whatnot. So there was a lot
Wow.
of kind of a disgruntled vibe happening when I was at Rice's, and I just was getting tired of that feeling there, and I wanted to be more in the art festival and more of kind of it's just a more of a respected, appreciated vibe kind of
Yes.
scenario, and not where people were just trying to talk our prices down, and I can get this down the way for this much. And I was like,
Right.
well, you can get a glass pendant for that much. This is correct. You know, I was having a hard day that hot August day at Rice's. It was getting to the end of my career doing that market, and I was just wanting to go home, and I was starting to pack up the car, and within like 5 minutes or so of packing up the car, I've never had an intuitive force grab my shoulder and literally stop me and say, "You're already here. You've already done the work. Sit down and wait and do your job." I literally got chills. I was like, okie dokie. And I was intuitive at that point. I've been listening to being guided. I've already started my business at that point, you know, and followed that into the darkness and try to make things work. And
Yeah.
so that I said, okay. I put some things back out. Everything that I had started packing up, I brought out and started putting back out. And I just sat there and put a smile on my face and I waited. And within 10 minutes, a young woman came up. She's full of great energy. She was looking at what we had on display. She bought some gifts. So I had some gemstones out and just had this great energy. It was a $40 sale. I didn't think anything of it. It was like, that's why I stayed, was this $40 sale and help paid for my day. This is the kind of thing that made a young artist trying to make it happy was just
Right.
any kind of sales when you're having that bad of a day, something coming your way is like, all right, I'm doing this for a reason, you know, and just
Yes.
having that energy lifted by somebody that had just such bright energy was like, I was done with that. It was great. That was why I stayed. That closed it for me. So I packed up and then I went home. Within 2 weeks, my phone rang, and it was the woman who met me that day was actually a buyer at our local, it was in the North Wales
my
store before they
gosh.
moved to the Springhouse location. You know, a
Getting
team
chills.
member there, and that was her boss calling me. She had given my card to her boss and talked to her, and we need to bring this stuff in. They had just begun their local vendor, bringing the local program. So it was an amazing, like, I answered the phone. I stuck it out at a hot August day at Rice's when I wanted to go home. I wanted to give up. And that little voice said, don't you dare.
So you just, from there, you said yes. Is that how it all...
Yeah, so at first I was like, I'm just starting to get in the art festivals, the juried shows, seeking the gallery in the higher end market. And here comes this grocery store. Do you want to sell your glass here? And I was like, I had a moment of,
Yeah.
before I was like, heck yeah. Because my intuition told me, I know I was already like vegan. I was already learning. I'm not vegan to this day. I've learned I eat everything now. But I was just learning food and what goes into our body is what we get out of it. And I know how important it is to feed ourselves well. I was giving them money before they were cutting me checks, So I was like, It was Fresh Fields at the time when I started going there. But it was our local location, you know what I mean? But
I do. Yeah. Yeah. And that it somehow, when you named your business,
Aspiring Artists of the Earth. I named it in 2003, the winter of 2003. I started in January 2004, and I named it a long name because I wasn't thinking URLs and I wasn't thinking about something people had to say quickly. So it was actually one of the glass artists, Kirsty, was like, you just call it AOD. It's your acronym. It's called AOD. I'm like, I like that, and it just, so it kind of stuck, and it did stick.
What went into that?
I always knew it was going to be bigger than me, so I didn't want my business wasn't going to be TariZarka.com, even though I do have that now with my glass. At the time, it needed to be bigger than me to just reach more people and to include more people. I mean, to this day, we carry over, dozens of artists through the marketplace, and it's something where I want to continue expanding on that. I would love to work with more artists eventually as we, lock down greater, retail availability across the country. It just, it's a work in progress, but...
What goes into that desire? I mean, why don't you... Normally, people just say, it's mine, I'm working on mine.
I have no idea. I don't know where I get some things from. I really don't. I think about, why can't I just take the easy route? Why can't I just, instead of spending a half an hour in the morning taking my oatmeal batch work for the week and doing this healthy thing and doing that, why can't I just go to Wawa Wawa has good food too. Why can't I just go somewhere fast food and eat some poor choice that's going to make me feel crappy? Because I know it's going to make me feel crappy. There's also, I'm glad that I'm able to foresee something before doing it. So that whole grass is greener thing, or the easy way out, or... Those things don't really intrigue me because I can literally imagine the outcome before going there.
Yeah, that makes sense.
I don't know.
Okay, so speaking of doing something that has, a bigger power or a power that's beyond, can you take me into the ashes work and tell me what that is and about that?
Working with the glass, an ability that the borosilicate glass that I work with has is that it can encase the cremains ashes of pets and people. And I always knew this, but it wasn't really something I was looking to get into. But my customers kept asking me. And after years and years of building relationships with your customers, and you care about your people, and they come to you like, my mom just passed away, and this is story after story, and you're just like, no, I don't do that. Okay, you know what, lady? Do this for these people. And I finally was just like... I'm going to do this for these people, and it was, and I wanted to do more with my work to help people bring light to death, because also in our culture, with my dad going through hospice in 2018 and 2019, we have a real disconnect with death and with mourning and a whole loss, and it's just not something that's strong in our culture, and I feel like we can get better at that.
And it's the one thing we're gonna do it.
It's living is dying, dying is living. It's all just part of it.
Yeah. So your dad passed away in
October 2019. He passed after 21 months on hospice. Yeah.
Wow.
Actually, it was an interesting time.
I bet, because then that was followed right by a pandemic.
Yeah. I was already broken and just recently divorced. Moved back home with my parents to help them. Let my dad die at home in his own house on hospice. I mean, it was a very, I was broken, and then the world wanted to shut down and tell me to stay home and close my business, and that wasn't going to happen.
Yes. Well, it was a time when the world was kind of broken. It was just a very strange time. Did anything, positive happen from the pandemic? I mean, it was a really tough
Absolutely.
time.
I mean, I feel like it gave us all the space we needed to just reassess everything, and it was something I needed to do anyway. I was about to shield everybody out and be in my own bubble anyway, and then the fact that COVID happened at the same time was very odd and interesting, and so it just kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, we're all here. Okay, good. Everyone to the corner and figure out some stuff.
That's true. We're all doing it together. We're all. So okay, I'm going to just leap to something that
Great.
actually has nothing to do with the pandemic or even your creations, like your products. I don't almost want to call it jewelry because it transcends. There's not just jewelry. What? Let me just jump to say, what do you actually produce?
So in-house, we produce a full line of aromatherapy, gemstone, and TZ glass jewelry. I am TZ glass jewelry. I make the glass work. I also bring in a full line of work that we make in-house. Like we'll assemble, I make the wood in here. So the wood diffuser jewelry is a wonderful collection of products that we make. It's functional jewelry. People can bring more aromatherapy into their day. I also work with a network of artists where I have artists in their own studios working, fulfilling orders for stores. So I'll keep people moving that way. It's fun to balance what we make in-house versus what we're bringing in out of the shop and other people's studios, and just
it's a lot
keeping it all going.
So the aromatherapy, do you just put a drop of the oil
so the bracelets, exactly.
Oh
2 to 3 drops of essential oil directly onto our wood, and then you have aromatherapy with you all day long.
Oh my gosh.
And I can tell you, even in stressful days, a little bit of, I put orange on mine, or cedar wood a lot, and it just kind of helps me just bring it back.
I will just ask you, how do you manage to do all that you're doing?
It's all I do? I mean, I literally work more than any sane person. I average 12 to 15 hour work days. I literally, my last vacation was February 2020. That was my only vacation for 10 years before that.
Oh, wow.
Just, there is a lot of work going on to make all this happen, and especially with all the transition and
that's a lot. That is a lot of sacrifice for your work. What fuels you?
Knowing the good that I can do if I make this work, and I'm still working to make it work. I mean, I'm in my 19th year, and I feel like I'm just getting started in what we'll be able to do if we continue doing it right. And don't ask me what that is exactly, but I'm still figuring that out. It's just continuing to connect with people and reach more essentially locations through our wholesale marketplaces. And
so what inspires you? Where do you go for inspiration? What do you do if you wake up and you are just like, not today. Don't feel like it today.
There's no choice. It has to work.
Wow.
I mean, I don't wake up, knock on wood I just did there. There's not much of a choice in that. Like because I have depressed days. I have days where I'm like, I'll fight through sadness or fight through not even slowing down to process Dad's death or my divorce since then. Like, it's just been keeping the business going. But I'll still, I don't know, knowing what it can do and just helping people and just knowing that one of the artists that I work with and all the different stories of the different people I work with, the one glass maker that her pieces are over there, during the pandemic, she could have taken the UC check, but she went and worked at a soup kitchen instead. And then kept hustling her glass on the side heavily. I mean, just the other artist, the potter that we carry, who's, now teaches full time and teaches a lot of kids and gets people's hands in clay, and the therapy of creation. And all these people that I work with, most of them teach or do just some amazing work on the side. Creative people just generally aren't ones to sit at home and complain about the world and not enact change. I mean, generally, makers and creators are ones that just, and I love that about people who will just spend their time doing and not talking about the things they're going to do. And I know everyone I talk about things that I don't do too, and I'm not saying anything like that, but I work with a lot of very productive, tenacious people, and I don't have room to fail them. I've come so far with bringing the work to a certain level where it has to work. There's really no other way.
So what is Live to Uplift, speaking of?
So Live to Uplift was born out of my need to do more with the amazing blessings I've been granted with this business and the shelf space in retailers like Whole Foods, and just knowing that I needed to help let glass do what it does. I mean, these glass necklaces, I mean, they're pretty and they connect with everybody. And right now I have 9 missions that we're supporting through consumerism. So I wanted to, jump around here, but if you get into wanting to heal this broken society and where do you start and how do you do that, I have no idea, but I know that I am well entangled in consumerism, and I can help use that as a tool to connect and inspire people. It doesn't have to be, business and money doesn't have to be an evil monster if you can utilize it correctly, right? So I just want to do better at that.
Wow. Well, what I was actually going to ask you, but then I just got sidetracked by what you were saying. It made me think about that was, you had talked a little bit about makeup. I am like obsessed with makeup. I think I might have been a drag queen in another life or something. What role does like natural, you talked about natural.
Yeah.
Can you talk a little bit about that?
So in our new photo shoots and marketing and ongoing, I mean, I really want to keep this focus on natural beauty and our products too. Like I'm making jewelry and wearables for the people. We start like $15.99 bracelets up to like $29.99 generally are a lot of the price points.
Yeah.
I want this to be product you can wear in your everyday and to look at that model in that ad and feel like, wow, I can see her wrinkles. I can see her life and her reality and I want to help break that in what a lot of people get stuck feeling like that they're not pretty unless they put that layer on them. And that inner beauty, that inner light that you have, you're gorgeous without your makeup. And I know like you do, you know, people need to hear more of that and to see it. We're not going to hear it until we see more of it.
You're so right. And you know, it also is about something that you seem very connected to, which is authenticity. I have known you for a while and I've never felt kind of that artifice or like this kind of I don't know, this kind of manufactured personality that I think some of us just feel we have to do.
That's part of our area where we grew up here. I mean, this is what, you know, it's an oddity that, I mean, I grew up off the tracks of like Central Bucks. We're up here in Dublin. It was, you know, it's just, you know, it's just a different, it's so different even though it's so close, right?
Yes. Yep. I do. Yep.
And I think that contributed to it too. It's just my distance from. It is interesting. It's interesting. I have never wanted to play with it, and I've been bullied because of it, and I've just always kind of looked at it and was like, that's just not for me. I just don't understand it.
So do you think that it was the culture of that you were raised in? Like,
be
yourself. And
I was, I mean, I grew up in the pantyhose factory with, like, there's, like, I wasn't growing up in a development of kids, and we're all playing, like, it was, like, a very, like, I was an only child, and around a bunch of older people, like, there would, you know, it's just an interesting...
Yeah, it is.
You know, way to learn the world. So it helped me to not have to live up to all this because I didn't have it around me, influencing me all the time too, which I'm really thankful for.
I agree because I think we spend when we do that, we spend the rest of our life trying to peel away the layers.
Deconditioning is so hard, right?
Yes.
And that's
Yeah, 100%. Okay, so I'm a big fan of rituals. I'm a very ritualistic person. I've learned that not everybody is. I used to think everybody was, and now I realize. Do you have any? Do you do anything like every morning or every evening or?
I feel like I've been on 3.5 years of. A lot of the same, up really early, in bed late. Like, I generally wake up around 4 a.m. and get right to it. And I like to be in bed by 8, but that's a rarity, especially at the holidays. I'm 4 to 6 hours of sleep if I'm lucky right now, but I am an 8 hours person. So I like to get up early. I get right to my day. I get the coffee going. I get the breakfast in me. I make sure the food in before the coffee goes in, and then just get to it. And generally I try to exercise a couple times a week on a bike, but it doesn't happen enough. I definitely I need to do all this work stuff in the way of my personal all the time, and I'm trying to get better at that.
Yeah.
But my routine is work. Get up and work all day.
So what do what are your goals? I know, I gotta say, from talking to you, that you have a lot of them, and you're only one human being.
Mm-hmm.
But still, what if you could foresee the future? Like, what would you want to pursue? I think you should do a book. I've just told you that. I really think
I would like to release that.
Beautiful book by Tari Zarka. I would buy it.
Thank you.
So you have
That's
one
inspiration.
customer already. Is it just to do more, make more, sell more, get into different, avenues?
Continue healing from everything I've been through and do the best at what I can with all of these resources I'm granted. Continue connecting people and inspiring people to find their own intuition and inner beauty so they can be the best contributors to healing our place.
That's beautiful and that's powerful.
I'm going to translate that into business. Oh, but that's like
it sounds like a mission, like your.
That's what the work is supposed to do. The attainability of the gifts, the connecting people. Like, it's not just stuff to me.
Yes,
it is stuff. It's gifts, but at the same time,
no, it feels different. I mean, when I see your work, I am inspired. It's touching. There's something touching And that is an interesting word as I say it, because it's not only touching, like it touches my heart, but because of the nature of the glass, I want to touch it as well. It's like a physical and yet an emotional reaction.
Yeah,
you know?
that's awesome. And I do truly believe everything is light and everything is energy too. I mean, and what is behind the origin of things helps in its perception of it too. I mean, that sounds a little out there, I know, but I do believe in that. And also I believe in the intention of things and what it does. Like every single, like we support in Whole Foods, we support Whole Planet Foundation. So like we're always, every sale, every piece that someone picks up and loves and buys also kicks back to giving money directly to entrepreneurs across the globe to help lift them and their communities up. So I love making sure that the work always does its work to do better here too, which I feel like that's part of helping things vibrate well and be all inclusive.
If all businesses could be that way, I mean,
we would be not in the position we
right?
are, but
yeah.
It doesn't change until we all just keep doing what little bits we can and keep doing it. And
what about on another part? Well, I said we would do a series. So, you've been through so many different things, so much. What do you think is the thing that got you through the hard things that you've gone through?
Thank God that I'm driven and creative. That I can always, I don't know what it is. There's just this inner knowing of that things are going to get better, that this just is temporary, that inner faith, trust in your intuition. And when things were going the most wrong for me and I got myself into like a negative relationship and let that go on for too long, I wasn't listening to my inner voice. I literally told that inner voice to go away. I'm fine. I'm going to be okay. And that little voice told me, I'll see you later.
Yeah.
It literally said, we'll be back. I remember the days.
Really? That's so interesting.
And then I remember calling it back, like, you know what? You were right. I'm going to need some help getting out of this. And then it was just clearing out all of the people and the things that would create that would disable me from being deconditioned from persisting the negative things that you would do to keep bringing those things into your life, like, I mean, quitting drinking, I get the alcohol out of my life and finally decided to stop, self-medicating in that regard and get the people that would not allow that to happen out. And that was really difficult.
That's powerful. Hard. I mean, I can only imagine.
No one understands why you work so hard or why you'll give everything up to go home and take care of your family, or, and people just don't understand why you do certain things. And it's no one needs to understand it but you. And I think that's the hard part for people to understand, is to get to the point where you trust what you need to do so much that nothing else matters.
It's so interesting you say that, because every now and then I have gone through things where I'm like looking for the answer and I'm looking for a quote, and then I've gotten to a point sometimes where I go, wait, I know the answer.
Yes, I firmly believe that. I do that all the time now. I ask the question and I get completely quiet and I wait for the answer, and it might not come right away.
No.
It might not come that moment. It might come that week, that day. It's just like I'm doing something else the next week and it pops to me and I'm like, oh.
That's it. What about just one final thought I want to ask you, Tari, which is, what do you wish people knew? Like, sometimes I say if you could change one thing, but maybe if you could just change, what do you wish that people would really, if you said, listen, I have something to tell you, just take this in, what message would you want to share?
Spend more time looking at how we can better a situation versus how we can condemn a situation. And if we can't do anything other than condemn a situation, maybe we need to go donate some time to a soup kitchen or a local thrift store to sort some clothes. Or I think people spend too much time. I want people to give people the will to find a way to engage and interact, even if you don't feel like you belong or you don't know where to start. There are dozens of places around here where we can take our... And a lot comes from boredom or not knowing how to help, and I feel like we just get stuck in this place of...
Talk.
And to do more.
Yeah.
We'll have less space to talk and fill with...
100%.
I think I don't know if I worded that well, but that's
you did.
kind of the...
Yeah, no, I love that. Well, we will leave our friends with that. So go out today and do something. There's so much you can do.
And especially right now at the holidays, we can sort some cans at the food pantries, sort the clothes for people who are cold. I mean, there's churches and thrift stores and organizations everywhere.
there's a kind word sometimes, just get it. Yeah. Yep. Well, thank you so much.
Thank you, Amanda.
I can't even tell you, and I look forward to more podcasts. We have a lot to talk about.